So for the moment, Thread in Motion has 3 different devices. They look similar in terms of form, in terms of geometry, in terms of usage. The form factor is the same. They are all gloves. All 3 gloves that you see here use a trigger to activate the scan in the area of the thumb. If you look at my hand, you see that I'm trying to scan. So this is a very natural movement for us, because this is what we use. We use the thumb, you know, to put pressure on things. So this is very natural to us. It's not fatiguing. It's very ergonomic also. All 3 devices share this commonality. All 3 devices can be used right-handed or left-handed, and all 3 devices have different types of sizes for different types or sizes of hands, and in case you have to use the glove on top of another one, because in some processes you already use a glove by itself. Now, the most simple device looks like a wireless barcode scanner, the handheld type, meaning it can scan but doesn't have any more interfaces. Then you have a second one which already integrates a small display, and this is mainly for information to the user. And then you have a little shortcut button that you can use to validate operations, for example. And on the extreme of the portfolio, we have the G-Logi tool glove that integrates 1.5 OLED high contrast screen and a full keyboard. Now, why is this useful? You might ask. Well, this is useful because you now have the capability to inform the system of what you're doing, or in case it's needed to inform the system while you're doing. For example, you might at this point leave your PDA in the pocket and just use the glove to do everything. It's not a touch screen and it's not a 10-inch screen. No, it's not. But for 80 or 90% of your activities, this is what you need. So this will be an upgrade on your performance for sure. Let's go ahead. So while we want to compare, for example, the simplest of the systems that we have, of course, there's a weight difference. It's less than 1/3 of the weight, and you don't have to hold it. It's always connected to your hand, so it's very, very comfortable. And of course, during the day for intensive use, you feel much better at the end of the day while using the glove than using the regular scanner. And on top of that, you get the feedback that allows you to prevent mistakes while you're using it. And you get all the extra information that allows you to have a new layer of decision-making processes. So this is a lot to deal with. And this is why just by having 4 seconds less in your operation during 1 full shift, 3 shifts, many workers, you get a huge amount of savings, plus traceability, plus less mistakes. This is really, really relevant. So now that I informed you, I briefed you about the more generic and very, very easy to comprehend features and advantages of the system. Now let's see what happens when on top of this, we use machine learning and artificial intelligence. So some of our devices can include a high definition camera that you can use to generate images that are compared to patterns that you provide to a system. This means that now you have a new tool that is not working on the device, it's working on the cloud, but can tell you if what the camera is looking at, if it's okay or not okay. Why is this useful? Well, it's useful if you're in manufacturing, for example, and you have a tolerance for acceptance. So while you feed many pictures of this to the system, some of them okay, some of them not okay, now the system can tell you if what you're looking at, it's okay or not okay. The same goes if you're doing assembly, because the assembly of a device, a part, or whatever must have a certain aspect, so you can teach the system what's a good looking and not a good looking assembly, which means that you can have quality control at the very end of the assembly line and not have an extra step for quality control. So you see where you have the savings, right? Now, not only that, but of course now you have traceability, because you now have information regarding that particular part number that you can go back and search when you need to, or use it as an argument in B2B, for example. So this is a real case that Thread in Motion did with Hyundai and had an extreme impact where they needed some extra control, and now they have it integrated within their own processes. Now we have other use cases with Mercedes-Benz also using the EVOS glove, so the one with the little display. And over here there was a very interesting case where there is on the assembly line, there's a process called the line side feeding of the parts that they have to assemble. So it's a small batch that they use to feed the workers that are doing the assembly. And from time to time, this batch is close to zero, so you have to ask for a new batch coming from the warehouse. Now, this is normally performed by the supervisor. The supervisor will check this information and will ask for extra batch to the warehouse. And you will have to inform the system that is now taking parts from the warehouse, taking them to the assembly line. Now, what would happen is that obviously the supervisor was trying to prioritize their activities, and while he was being called for different activities or different demands in the line, he would not immediately put the order into the system, which means that at the end of the day, sometimes he would forget to do it. So stock management was a problem, because in the system you had a value of stock, but in real life you didn't have the same amount. Now, what Thread in Motion did was twofold to solve the question. First, while using the glove, now you have traceability of all the parts being used on the assembly line. Not only the batch number, but you have the complete set information about the parts. Now, while using this, because the glove is communicating directly with the system, they know if the batch that they are using in the assembly line is reaching, it's close to zero. So you just have an algorithm, a condition that says to the system that when the batch size reaches a certain value, it triggers an internal order automatically, and at the same time subtracts the value from the main stock. So this was completely solved, and this is still ongoing today with huge benefits for customer. This is the video that we'll see regarding that aspect that is very interesting. I will not do any voiceover because you have subtitles, and I believe that translators are doing also this show, okay?
Mercedes-Benz Türk olarak 50 yılı aşkın süredir Türkiye'de faaliyette bulunuyoruz. Hoşları Otobüs Üretim Fabrikası'nda şimdiye kadar 85 bini aşkın otobüs üretmiş bulunmaktayız. Yurt içi ve yurt dışı pazarlarına otobüs üretiyoruz. Buradan yola çıkarak 50. yılımızı kutladığımız 2017 yılında yenilikçi, sürdürülebilir ve yaratıcı fikirleri desteklemeye karar verdik. Topluma, çevreye fayda sağlayan, pozitif sosyal etkisi olan, hayatı kolaylaştıran ve teknolojiyle bağ olan çözümler üreten girişimlere katkıda bulunmak amacıyla 50. yılda 50 Startup projesini başlattık. Proje çerçevesinde gerçekleşen yarışmada 50 Startup'a toplam 500.000 TL ödül verdik. Dailymotion bu yarışmada büyük ödülü almaya hak kazanan 3 startup'tan biri.
Here's the EVOS.
Dailymotion'ın bize ürettiği akıllı eldivenler sayesinde süreçlerimizi iyileştirdik, hızlandırdık ve ergonomimizi arttırdık.
Pedro, can you increase the volume, please?
Endüstri 4.0'ları
I can. Just a moment.
ederek çok iyi bir duruma getirdik.
You mean the video volume?
Yeah. Yeah, your voice is perfect. The video.
Sorry.
Ambardan imalata, otobüse takılacak bütün malzemelerin akışıyla ilgileniyorum. Daha önceden bu işlemleri manuel olarak yapıyorduk fakat
Perfect,
artık
thanks.
akıllı eldivenlerimiz sayesinde bunu sistemsel olarak işliyoruz.
Dijital eldivenler önce kendi kullanıcı adımız barkodunu girerek ilgili olan istasyona ihtiyaç yaratabilmek için o istasyonda bir barkodumuz vardır kendisine özgü. Burada başlayarak ihtiyaç olan malzemelere belirli miktarlarda taleplerini yapıyoruz. Sisteme kaydediyoruz. Sonra istasyonla ilgili işlemi kapatıyoruz. Bu iş yükünün sonucunda ambara bir iş yükü düşüyor. Buradan çıkan etiketlerle belirli kutu ve miktarlar ebatında malzemeler istasyonlara sevk ediliyor.
Akıllı eldivenler sayesinde işimiz daha da kolaylaştı. Artık daha verimli çalışıyoruz.
Okay, this is perfect. You saw that they were using the glove on top of another glove, right? Because they are working on the shop floor. So this is also useful to see. Oh, sorry. This is what I want. Okay, so now let's go a little bit deep into technology. I'll try to speed this up since we are almost half